So you guys know I didn't do a lot of stuff with World, right? I love World. I appreciate what it did for the series as a whole. I think it was a huge milestone for Monster Hunter in general, but it didn't click with me, you know? It didn't really hook me in. And you guys know I'm really about the old school style. I love the old school aesthetic, and there was just something from World that was just missing for me. But I was sent a review copy, and let me tell you.
The game is fun.
But seriously though, it has been a lot of fun, and it was kind of a nice surprise too, because I went into it with kind of the opposite bias. Like, I didn't go in thinking like, I'm gonna love Iceborne by default, and maybe there's gonna be things I don't like. I went into it with a very critical mindset, like, alright, what am I gonna like here? Iceborne is gonna have to work really hard to win me back. Yeah. Alright, they won me back. Friendship ended with GU, now Iceborne is my best friend. Nah, I'm just kidding, I love GU too. So I'm going to be talking about three main things. Overall feel and atmosphere of the game, progression and difficulty, and then fun / replay value. And I'll elaborate more on those as I go. So first I want to talk about feel and atmosphere, and to do that, I need to talk about Seliana. Now Seliana to me is like already my favorite village, and that's saying a lot. And now I have some biases because I love like snowy towns and snowy villages. There's this village in World of Warcraft in Storm Peaks that's just all snowy, and a bunch of Taurens live there. And I always thought it was just like really chill and cozy, and Seliana reminds me of that village. It just seems very chill, no pun intended, and I just love the look and feel of it. You look around and everyone's like kind of still setting up, still building. It kind of makes you feel closer and more involved with the base and the world pretty much. Not to mention that we now have one of the nicest gathering hubs I've ever seen. Like, look at this hub, man. It's so nice. And I feel like they took note of a few things. Like, they noticed how a lot of people were modding the gathering hub on PC so that you could have all of the resources up there, so you wouldn't need to keep going down to Astera. And here in the gathering hub, you have access to pretty much everything you need. The investigations, your farm, you can quickly get to the smithy if you need to. And it's just this really chill atmosphere. Like, I just can't wait to be in here with 15 other people. It's gonna be really cool. I can't wait to, you know, whenever the next siege comes in, I think it's gonna be a fun time. Also, the music. Seliana's theme is just incredible. And so is your house theme too, like the remix of the house theme. It sounds like a nostalgic village theme, even though this is a new game. We got some nice piano, we got some flute, just the arrangement in general is beautiful. And I don't know, that's huge points for me, just as a musician. That's kind of one of the first things I noticed. And it's such a nice theme, and it goes really well with just like the overall feel of the village, or the base rather, and I love it a lot. And you feel a bit more involved in the story. It doesn't feel like you just got here. Now you've been here, you know, all through the events of base world, and you feel more involved. You really want to get down to the bottom of things and help people out. Speaking of the story, let's talk about the progression and difficulty. Now, the progression for Iceborne feels really good, and I think I got a cool experience with the fact that I did have to start from the very beginning, and it goes very well with the story, even better than base world. It also helps that the story, at least to me, was a bit more engaging this time around. Speaking of the story, I want to just mention a couple things. If you don't want to hear about this, just go ahead and skip to this time. But in the story, they actually tease like almost 2 deaths, and I remember going through that and I was like, whoa, would they actually kill a character in Monster Hunter? Like, that would be so interesting. And like for a second they almost had me. I was like, yo, what? But it doesn't happen. Also, the difficulty feels really good. For the first part of Master Rank, I was like really struggling. I had to like quickly upgrade my gear. At first, all of my hunts were lasting like 20+ minutes, and I was like, damn man, I gotta step my game up. But then, you know, I stopped, I made some mix sets, I learned a couple of fights, and now they last like 12 or 11 minutes. and if I'm on point, 9 minutes.
Wow.
But it feels really good. Like it feels like if I want to kill these things quickly, then I'm really gonna have to practice and itemize and work hard. That's something that I always really liked about the old games. I got into speedrunning because it was a necessity. If I didn't want a solo hunt to take forever, I had to get good. But in World, I didn't really feel that urgency because I could still kind of just do a mediocre hunt and it would be 5 minutes. And to me, that was alright. It only took me 5 minutes, I just saved a lot of time. But now in Iceborne, it feels like, alright, if I don't want my hunts to take really long again, I want to really practice and itemize well. And that's something that was missing from Base World for me, so I loved that. I loved that it felt more difficult this time. And I'm hoping that that's not something that dissuades people from Iceborne, that it does feel harder. I think that's a great thing. Like, to me, I feel much more motivated to get more into this game, get good at it again, and maybe even speedrun again. So I think that's, fuck, if you can get me to want to speedrun again, then that's bonus points for the game. And I guess while in progression, I should talk about some of the armors and weapons. The progression of the weapon upgrading seems pretty nice as well. A lot of the armors in the game are really nice. I'll let you guys see some of those for yourself. And a lot of the weapons too, some of them look really, really good, and some of them still kind of got the world treatment. So you guys know, obviously Glavenus is in the game, so some of the Glavenus weapons are back, and like they're back in their full glory, you know, they look like just how they always looked in Gen, and they look amazing. And then there's some weapons that just got completely shafted, man. It's just like, shit, what happened? And then there's some weapons that are kind of in the middle, like they didn't get their old Gen models, but they didn't completely get screwed over. They're kind of like in the middle, kind of like the longsword. But overall, there are a lot of nice weapon designs in the game. I think it helps that they brought in a lot of old and new monsters that have cool designs to them, so the weapons kind of benefited from that. But of course, there are still some weapons that,
oh no,
they look like world weapons. But that armor though, now if I didn't already say so, I've been pretty hooked. Ever since I got the review copy, I just put every other game down and just started playing. My sleeping cycle has suffered.
They ask you how you are, you just have to
quite
say
a
that
bit,
you're fine.
but it's worth it. And I really have to say that I think this game has the potential to be one of, if not the best, Monster Hunter game, depending on, you know, how much more content they add. And I'm not saying that right now I've already run out of things to do, not even close. But I think this is a fantastic foundation for the game going forward, definitely. I'm really enjoying what seems to be the end game content. There's still a couple of things that I need to do, but I think I'm in there. And this end game content, it seems like it would be very fun to do with friends. Or if you're a streamer or a YouTuber, this seems like it would be very fun to do with your viewers, your subscribers, your supporters. And you'll see why eventually. And Monster Hunter has never had an issue with replayability. I mean, not never, but it's lining up to be that it's going to be very fun for a long time. I love that we got a lot of old monsters, but a lot of the new monsters got some subspecies and variants as well, and it adds diversity to the gear and to the weapons. One thing that I always said that I loved about GU in the addition of Deviants is that it gave a lot of smaller, insignificant monsters a time to shine. For example, you would never really normally hunt a Lagombi, but because Deviant Lagombi was in the game, you had a reason to go farm it, and it ended up having really good dual blades, and then maybe you would make those dual blades. When did you hunt Tobi Kadachi again, or Puke, and a lot of those other small guys after you beat them in the story? There was rarely ever any need to go back to them, but now that a lot of them got subspecies, and a lot of them got upgraded gear, as you guys will see, there's more reason to go do them for their gear and their weapons, and their subspecies and their regular Master Rank hunts now differ enough where it just feels like more content, more stuff. But overall, guys, I've been having a blast. Iceborne has just been so much fun. That urge, that drive that was missing for me with Base World, you know, I have it, man. I have it with Iceborne, and if nothing else, I gotta say thank you for this game, because I know it's gonna be fun, and it's gonna stay fun for a while. But, you know, in the end, you guys didn't bring Giganox back, you guys didn't bring Kurapeko back, you guys didn't bring Great Rocky back. I mean, do you guys even care about your fans at all? 0 out of 10.